can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls. But now when I bring the people out, you don't let them in?
We're not your damn subjects. We are your bosses. We are the citizens of Dalton, and you will not continue.
Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed supermayor, is witnessing the rapid collapse of her political empire in real time. It's a spectacle that's capturing public attention like never before. Known for her dramatic flair and penchant for controversy, Henyard has managed to dominate headlines over the years. However, after a series of high-profile failures and mounting public outrage, her once firm grip on power is slipping away. To those following her saga, it now resembles something straight out of a Netflix drama, complete with political infighting, personal vendettas, and a kind of theatricality only Henyard herself can bring in her desperate attempts to maintain power. Henyard has been juggling her duties as the mayor of Dalton while simultaneously trying to keep her position as supervisor of Thornton Township. However, her political career has become mired in chaos, mainly due to a Democratic caucus that escalated. Her downfall. Her re-election bid for supervisor ended in defeat, and that loss marked the beginning of the end for her political aspirations. The entire situation has unfolded like a slow-motion car crash, with Henyard clinging to power even as those around her increasingly question her judgment and leadership. The controversy began with Henyard's controversial dual role as both mayor of Dalton and supervisor of Thornton Township, positions that many found ethically questionable. The strain of managing two significant political offices at once seemed to take its toll, leading to increasing tension and dissatisfaction within local government circles and among voters. When the Democratic caucus descended into chaos, Henyard's grip on both positions began to weaken. Her opponents saw the opening they needed and seized it, pushing her further into a corner. Her bid for re-election as supervisor was met with defeat, and with the political winds shifting against her, Henyard's once unshakable confidence now seems to be eroding. What was once a glittering political career built on bombastic promises and bold moves has become a cautionary tale of hubris and overreach. As her attempts to stay in the spotlight grow increasingly desperate, Henyard's public disputes, new scandals, and failed comebacks only serve to deepen her fall from grace. The public is watching as her empire crumbles, and it's becoming clear that her chances of making a political comeback are slimmer by the day. The once powerful supermayor may soon fade into political obscurity, her fate sealed by her own arrogance, and the unraveling of her control over power. As Henyard's political drama continues to unfold, it's clear that her fall from grace will be remembered for years to come. The key question remains: can she mount a comeback? Or has her political career already reached its bitter end? For now, the political world is watching with bated breath, eager to see whether Henyard can hold on to the remnants of her power or whether she'll completely fade from the scene. In a particularly dramatic turn of events, Henyard stormed out in a fit of rage when she discovered that her name was not included on the ballot. It was clear that her political dreams were unraveling in real time. She didn't take her exclusion well, venting loudly to anyone who would listen and making her displeasure known at every turn. The scene was chaotic, with the crowd growing increasingly frustrated and shouting at her to kiss them goodbye and demanding she leave. Henyard's dramatic exit was a far cry from the dignified behavior one might expect from a seasoned politician. But it wasn't just her angry outburst that had people talking. It was the circumstances surrounding her expulsion that added even more fuel to the fire. At the core of the issue lay a set of long-forgotten caucus rules that had not been enforced in over 30 years. These rules ultimately disqualified Henyard's slate of candidates from even being considered. According to the outdated rules, in order to qualify for the ballot, a full slate of 8 candidates was required to cover various township positions, including the supervisor, 4 trustees, the highway director, the clerk, and the assessor. The problem for Henyard was that her slate was incomplete. Without a certified assessor on her team, her candidacy was rendered invalid, and her hopes for re-election were dashed in an instant. As Henyard's supporters fumed and protested, hoping for a different outcome, the man behind her political downfall was none other than State Senator Napoleon Harris, who also served as a Democratic committeeman for Thornton Township. He stepped in to ensure that the caucus rules were enforced. His swift actions not only secured his own victory as the Democratic nominee for supervisor, but also ensured that Henyard's slate was disqualified, effectively knocking her out of the race. To Henyard and her supporters, Harris's involvement appeared to be much more than a simple enforcement of party rules. It seemed like a calculated power play aimed at undermining Henyard's candidacy and forcing her out of the race. From their perspective, Harris used his position to sideline Henyard and make way for his own political aspirations. This move left Henyard's camp feeling betrayed, outraged, and convinced that Harris had engaged in something akin to a political power grab. As the tension between Henyard's supporters and Harris escalated, it became clear that this wasn't just a case of following rules. It was a battle over egos and careers. For Henyard, the loss wasn't just a political defeat, it was a blow to her pride and a crushing blow to her political career. She was determined to fight back, even if it meant going up against her own party. For Harris, securing the Democratic nomination for supervisor was a sweet victory, but it came at the expense of further division within the party. Whether Henyard's claims of unfair tactics and unlawful actions will hold any weight, or whether Harris's maneuver will be seen as necessary to protect the integrity of the system, remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: this political drama is far from over. The stage was set not just for a fight over who would lead Thornton Township, but for a larger battle over the future of party politics in the region. As Henyard's fury boiled over and Harris solidified his position, the stakes in this increasingly bitter political showdown couldn't have been higher. It was no longer just about who would win the supervisor seat. It was about the power struggle that would define the future of Thornton Township and possibly beyond. Would Henyard's claim of being unfairly targeted hold any ground? Would Harris emerge victorious as the new face of the party? Only time would tell. But for now, the political showdown in Thornton Township promised to be one for the history books, filled with all the drama, scandal, and high stakes that could fuel any political thriller. As Tiffany Henyard's political empire continues to unravel, there's no doubt that her fall from grace will remain a key chapter in local political history. The chaotic series of events, filled with power struggles, backstabbing, and broken alliances, has all the elements of a classic political drama. And as this saga continues to unfold, there's no telling what new twists and turns will emerge in the coming days. For now, all we can do is sit back and watch the next chapter in this ever-dramatic political downfall, where the stakes are high and the outcome is anything but certain.
If you don't get the Democratic Party's nomination.
What do you mean? I will be victorious tonight. You will see. My people out here. They're not gonna.
Drama queen Tiffany Henyard was not about to let her political downfall go quietly. Behind closed doors, she accused State Senator Napoleon Harris of using unfair tactics to block her from the race, claiming the entire caucus procedure was a deliberate effort to stifle her candidacy. According to Tiffany, the situation went beyond just a political inconvenience. It was a case of voter suppression. She alleged that many of her supporters, whom she had arranged transportation for, via township buses, were unable to attend the crucial caucus meeting because the bus had arrived late. In Tiffany's eyes, this wasn't an accident. It was a calculated attempt to disenfranchise her base. Her anger reached a boiling point, and she wasn't shy about expressing it. In a private conversation, she vowed, "Tomorrow I shall be suing everyone involved." To Tiffany, the violation of her supporters' rights wasn't just a minor setback. It was a major injustice that she promised to fight tooth and nail. What made the situation even more absurd was that many of her followers were left stranded outside, unable to participate in the caucus while the meeting continued without them. The buses she had arranged had reportedly arrived too late, causing frustration and confusion among her supporters, who were left out in the cold both literally and figuratively. Tiffany saw this not as an oversight, but as a deliberate attempt to thwart her political career. The dramatic spectacle of her supporters, waiting in vain outside while the caucus went on without them, added a layer of absurdity to an already tense situation. Tiffany, always ready for the spotlight, seized every opportunity to paint herself as a victim in this power struggle. She framed the events as a textbook example of voter suppression. Her claims were as bold as they were explosive, and she seemed determined to make the most of the narrative she was constructing. For Tiffany, this wasn't just about a lost election. It was a fight for justice, a battle against forces trying to prevent her from serving the people. Despite her fiery accusations, Tiffany's detractors weren't backing down. Many viewed her claims as just another one of her theatrics, a desperate attempt to discredit those who had effectively ended her political career in Thornton Township. Whether her legal threats would gain any traction remained uncertain, but it was clear that her actions ensured the drama surrounding her downfall would not die down anytime soon. As Tiffany prepared her lawsuit and took to the media to voice Her grievances, even some of her supporters, began to question the sincerity of her actions. Had they really been subjected to a coordinated effort to silence them, or was this just another chapter in Tiffany's long history of political theatrics? What was certain, however, was that the drama wasn't going anywhere. Tiffany was playing her cards as only she could, ensuring that the public and the media remained focused on her supposed victimization. As the fallout from the caucus continued to unfold, the central question remained: would Tiffany's legal threats gain any traction, or was she simply setting herself up for another public spectacle? Either way, it was becoming increasingly clear that Tiffany Henyard wasn't going to fade quietly into the background. Instead, she seemed more determined than ever to make sure her political drama played out on her terms. Whether through legal action or by keeping the spotlight firmly on herself, this saga had all the elements of a political thriller. A bitter power struggle filled with controversy, accusations, and an unrelenting desire to stay in the game.